by right here?
You know, I don't know, folks. Hey, welcome to the program. You see right here, we're comparing reading glasses. That's how we start the show. It's called preparation. You get the 6 P's, right? Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. Well, just in case we have to read things, we got to have them ready. So we're comparing.
Right.
I think PeeWee's is a little bit better than mine, though. But anyways, welcome to the program, Rocci Stucci Show, special edition of the program. StucciMedia.com is the website. All the media, news outlets, everything you need is going to be right there. StucciMedia.com. I'm not going to waste any time. I was on the phone the other night, and before we went live here today, folks, I was telling Pee-wee, I was just like, bro, the other day on the conversation, man, thank you. You know, you guys hear me talk about things, you know, and society and culture and people and this fucking mentality that we have where people are just, you know, this whiny ass shit that we have to deal with every single day. And I'm just kind of tired of it, right? And then you talk to somebody who's been around the block a couple times, you know, and it's just like the perception of life is so different from somebody who has been through some shit compared to, you know, a lot of these little Tinkerbells running around that, you know, I don't think they even realize sometimes, you know, what they're doing and how they're saying things. But without further ado, I want to welcome to the program. It's a huge honor for me, man, and this is going to get deep. I promise you it's going to get deep. But PeeWee Goldsmith, former Hell's Angel and author now. And, brother, I'm on your website right now, folks. It's charliepeeweegoldsmith.com. Is that everything? Is that
That's correct?
Okay.
Yep.
There was a part on here when I was reading through. That's why I had the glasses. And there was something about the call to the open road. And that's what I was reading right before you came on. It says, the call to the open road has been my home, my sanctuary, and my stage. I'm not even going to finish that because as somebody, just when I read that, the call to the open road, it instantly grabbed me as somebody who understands that language. People always hear us talk about therapy, you know. Before we even get into the lifestyle, explain to people what actually getting on a motorcycle and getting out there means to somebody like yourself.
Well, it's a huge difference, brother. You know, when I first started riding motorcycles, it was probably in my mid-20s or late 20s, and I joined, like I said, I joined a small group called the Sinners out of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And it was funny, you know, we'd ride in a pack and stuff, but we weren't like hammering. I mean, everywhere we were going, we weren't like hammering. We doing like 70, you know, just keeping up with the pace. And we would ride from Milwaukee to Holland, Michigan for a run. And we were like, woo, 500 miles, you know, that's a hell of a run.
It's a run, man.
And yeah, and we're thinking, man, that's long. I'd get home, and this is just from like a weekend. I get home and I'd be like beat, you know, like, wow, this is crazy. And then after meeting the Angels, and I switched over from being a sinner to the Angels, whoa, man, that whole riding program took on another step.
It's
I had a full bagger, bro.
Oh.
Full bagger.
Yep.
I couldn't keep up with the pack. I full throttle it. I couldn't keep up. They all were on FXRs.
Oh, yeah.
And we hit a corner, man. They're turning a corner like 90 miles an hour. I'm in the back. The bike's like hydroplaning, you know?
Yep.
And I'm white knuckling in the back thinking, man, I'm going to crash into the wall any goddamn minute here. And finally, after a while, you know, they came up to me and they said, hey, you want to hang with us? You better get a faster bike. Get an FXR. So I started hanging around in 1991. 92, 90.
Now, was this in Milwaukee still? Is this still over?
Minnesota.
This is Minnesota.
Go up, yeah, but I still lived in Milwaukee, but I would drive up there and do parties as a hang around and go up there.
How long were you a hang around for when you first started going?
3 years.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, they said because they didn't really know me, you know?
Yeah.
And I tell you a funny story. They had one of the guys there, his name was Tank. He was a big barrel belly guy, you know, and had the big Grizzly Adams beard. And, you know, he'd be the kind of guy who'd call you up on the phone and say, hey, I want my money. You know, like that. He had that really deep, gargly voice.
Oh, yeah.
It was funny.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to go up there one weekend to work a party, and man, it started snowing in Wisconsin. So I rode. I had a big giant Lincoln Continental, the big one, and I drove that thing all the way from Milwaukee up to Minnesota through the snow. It was snowing like a son of a bitch. And I got there, the Minnesota of all places, it ain't snowing. It was cold, but it ain't snowing. So I pull up to the clubhouse and I get up and he walks up to me and he says, "Hey, you want to come around here? You want to impress me? You show up here in a cage?"
Oh.
I said, "Hey, hold on a minute, Tank. It was snowing the whole way up here, man. I would have crashed. There's no way I would have made it." And he says, "Well, you ain't impressing me none.
Oof.
You want to come up here and you want to be what I am?" He goes, "Then you ride. It's a motorcycle club." And then he points to his back, bro, and he says, "You see this MC on my back?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "That doesn't mean more Continentals." And I thought it was pretty funny when he said it. But I didn't want to break out laughing, bro, because that timing was bad. They were all like angry because I was in a car.
Yep.
No more, doesn't mean more Continentals. No. So when I got up there, I finally sold my house and I moved up there. And I moved up there, I think, April 28th, 29th. Like by May 1st, they had a major snowstorm, and it was like 40 some below with the wind chill. It was crazy.
Yeah, I need people to really hear what he just said, because so where he's talking about is literally right around for where I'm from. And
right.
When I told people when I moved to Texas, brother, dude, it was fucking 27 below zero in Minnesota when I left Texas, and I got to Texas. I mean, when I left Minnesota, when I got to Texas, dude, it was 50 degrees. I tell people, I'm like, you got to understand, it's 80 fucking degrees warmer down here. So yeah, I may look like a freak outside right now in 50 degrees in shorts and no shirt, but it's 80 degrees warmer. You know what I mean? And so it's a lifestyle, man. And dude, just to be able to survive that alone, even the homeless people up there are a different breed of human fucking being. You know what I mean?
They are. They're tougher, that's for sure.
Damn sure.
And my wife looked right at me and said, "I think we made a huge mistake moving here." That's the first thing she said.
Yes.
And I said, "Yeah, maybe. I don't know. When we pull up to the house, it was a brand new house that was built out in the country because I didn't want to live in the hood. So we lived like 20 miles outside, which pissed the club off. Mm-hmm. Why the hell did you move way the hell out there?" I said, "Well, because I don't want to live in a city, My kids ain't going to school with a bunch of scumbags,
Yeah.
And my kids were used to going to school, like on the outskirts of Milwaukee where I grew up.
Yep.
There was no sidewalks. They could walk to school, and the schools were real good and shit like that.
Semi-safe.
So,
you know what I'm saying? Somewhat safe.
Yeah. And this place was even safer. It was a little town called St. Francis, Minnesota. You probably know what it is.
Absolutely, brother. You bet I do.
Up by Isani.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I get there, bro, pull in the driveway. I am not lying. I'm 6'8". I get out of the car. The snow is up to my balls, right? I can't even get to the door. I couldn't lift my leg out of the snow, to put my other leg forward. So I had to hedgehog it right through the snow to the door.
That was your welcome home.
Yeah, that was it.
Oh,
No shovel, no nothing, bro. I was like, this is crazy, man.
Oh, no.
And freezing. I mean, just so cold.
Oh.
So then I went down to the clubhouse, and I got all arranged with those guys, and they said, "Well, we're having church. All the snow's going to melt. It's going to be like in the 40 or the 30s, 40s. You better have your bike." So I went down, and I seen at Harley they had a 93 FXR. So this was 1995. Somebody traded it in, and I think it had Christ, it was really low. It was less than 1,000 miles on it. It was a little short guy, I guess. you couldn't reach the pedals.
How did you find a
something.
bike to fix? Because I'm 6'2". I used to be 6'3", but then I got in that accident. But how in the fuck, man? How do you find a bike like that fits somebody? I mean, you're 6'8". How much do you weigh?
At the time when I was there, it was like 440.
Fuck. No wonder
Yeah.
why you had a full bagger, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So, and the Road Glide wasn't even invented yet. They didn't even have a Road Glide yet.
Shit.
So I get this brand new, well, to me it was like a new FXR, it had like 800 some miles on it. And I got it, and it was funny because people would come up to me and they go, man, what size motor's in that thing? Those FXRs are so light, their frames are made out of chrome moly, so they're 40 pounds lighter than a Softail.
Damn.
60 pounds lighter than a Softail stock frame. Because I sold them,
That's a big deal.
And yeah, and you get on an FXR, man, you get down on it, boom, it stands right up.
Bro.
And that's on a stock motor.
I'm getting all goosebumps just thinking about that shit, man.
Oh yeah, I honestly, for me, even now I weigh 320. I like to get another one, just to get around on. I mean, they handle so nice. And then I got the bike May 2nd, May 3rd, and then May 4th I got my rocker and I started prospecting. So from May, it was May, April, May. Wait a minute. It was, I'm trying to think of January, February, March, April, May. It was June, July. Okay, so it was May, June, July, August. August 28th, I'm coming down the road on a bike, and this kid pulls out of a gas station, and I know he was going to T-bone me, or I was going to T-bone him. And I've already T-boned a car back in the 80s, where I flew over the car and I cracked my kneecap. So I was like, no way am I going to ride this into the car. So I let the bike go and I jumped off of it.
Oh, shit.
And man, that bike, boom, when that bike hit, it just disintegrated.
Oh.
And I'm glad I wasn't on it.
Yeah, bail. Right. If you didn't bail, you probably it could have been real bad.
Oh, yeah. And when I hit the ground at 40 miles an hour, I had no helmet on. There was no helmet law.
Shit.
I hit the ground. I never hit my head. I kept my head like up off the ground. But, I broke my left wrist, 3 broken ribs on my left side, my scapula, my pelvis.
Shit.
It broke all of it, man, when I hit that asphalt. And, the kid tried to take off, too, and somebody stopped him. But it was amazing. The funny part was, most of the bones I just told you that I broke, there was nothing you can do for them except my wrist. They put a cast on my wrist. I was laying at home recovering, and Harley Davidson calls me up. They picked the bike up, and they said, hey, is this the same bike? And I said, yeah. I mean, it's the same color. It's everything just the way I bought it. I had it 4 months. And they says, the speedometer, you changed the speedometer on it. And I said, no, I didn't. The guy says, you just bought this bike 4 months ago from us. It has 19,000 miles on it. That's how many miles I had on it.
Shit.
That's why I tell people when they say, hey, do you guys really ride? I go, we ride, man.
I'm trying to do the math right now. Oh, my God, bro. That's like 5,000 miles a month.
Yeah.
That's on the road nonstop. That's nonstop fucking riding, bro. I mean, you're going
right.
When you have to take a shit, you're getting on your bike and going to the bathroom.
Right.
That's
exactly.
Right.
And not only the 20 miles in the town and out of town every time I came in from my house.
Yep.
Then they tell me, hey, don't worry about it. You get a job. You get a job and start working right away, so you can cover all your shit. And I said, all right. So I get this job at this trucking company because I was driving truck. And shit, man, I was there 3 days. And they're like, yeah, we're going to leave. I started there on a Monday. So I worked Monday, Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we had church that night. And they told me, hey, we're going to Chicago. We're leaving Friday morning, going to Chicago for a brother's wedding. And I said, hey, man, I just started this job, and I don't think they're going to let me off. And then, the famous was, well, do you want to be a Hell's Angel or do you want to fucking work at this trucking company? Well, if you don't work, bro, you can't pay your way, And I was like, well, I want to be a Hell's Angel. And they said, all right, be ready. We're leaving. So I go to the employer and I said, hey, I got to take off Friday. Right there and then, they cut me a check, said, see ya, goodbye.
No shit.
Yeah, they let me go. And then we took off Friday, went down to Chicago. We're down in Chicago. Everything's going good and stuff. Bikes are all lined up in front of the clubhouse on Grand Avenue because it's the old Hell's Henchmen.
Oh, okay.
That were converting over to Hell's Angels, but they weren't yet. They were still henchmen. So we were in this big shoe factory that they had for a clubhouse with a freight elevator in it. It was a big brick building with the glass block windows on it. It was a big ass place, bad as shit inside too. And we were all standing there, a bunch of us outside, a bunch of us prospects, and they're all inside partying. I see this car coming down the road, and I mean, it's coming pretty quick. I see this guy hanging out the window. And as soon as I saw him hanging out the window, I said, look out, and everybody hit the ground. He just peppered, man, the wall, the windows, the bikes, with a fully automatic machine gun, and thank God my bike didn't get hit, but a lot of the other guys' bikes got hit. And, everybody got up after the car went by, making sure everybody was okay. And
Anybody get hurt? Anybody get hit?
no, nobody got hit. It was just, those were the crazy fucking times we were living through, man. And that was 1994.
Dude, in 91, I was at a party, and I'm such a dumbass, though. It's the same exact situation where somebody drove by and they pepper sprayed the house. And what did I do? I jumped in the bathroom that was facing the front of the house. You know what I'm saying, dude? Like, that wall in the bathroom was stronger than the wall in the front living room. It says, but it's scary shit, man, especially when you don't know lots of times where the spray is coming from. It's just kind of like,
right.
You just don't know, dude.
I'm just glad I saw the guy hanging out the window, or we probably would have got caught,
Rookies.
And then, when we left there, we had a jam back. Naturally, we're jamming down the road, 90, 95, 100, and I mean, the pack is so tight.
Yep.
It's funny that we're talking about this because just a week ago, somebody asked me, "Why did you guys ride like that?" And I said, man, I don't even know. I don't know why we did. It wasn't like, to show off and, hey, this is who we are. It's just the way they ride.
Yep.
And we were like 2 feet off each other's rear fender. So one guy's tire pops, boom, man, a bunch of us are going down.
Yeah. No weekend warriors for that kind of shit, man.
No. And as we were jamming back, man, that bike, I picked up another FXR. And that bike was, the breather on it had those, what do you call it? The STD cases on it. It was like a home build. And the breather was pissing a lot of oil out the bottom of it through the breather, through the breather tube. They would blow the oil on the back of my brake on my rotor. And I remember one time we were coming up and a truck or something swerved over and we all had to lock them up. I hit the brake, nothing, bro. I actually had to go off the road down a ramp or I would have smashed into somebody.
Shit. Damn it.
So when I went down the ramp, I got the bike stopped with the front, just, jamming it and locking it down. And when I got to the bottom of the road, I had a can of brake cleaner in my saddlebag.
Mm-hmm.
So I just pulled out, I sprayed it all down, got all the oil off of it. Boom. They never even stopped, bro. They just kept right on going. So I had to do like 100, 120 to catch them.
Oh, yeah. You'd have to at least do $110 just to do 10 miles an hour faster than
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was, some of the times was...
And so for the people that are kind of new to this kind of language, there's something I want to point. When you hear him talking about prospecting, that's kind of like being evaluated. I don't know the best way to put it, but it's an evaluation, and it's however fucking long they want you to prospect for, right? But when they say to be somewhere, It's not like you can call your wife and ask your wife, right? It's not like you can call
Right.
your boss and ask your fucking boss. When you're prospecting for a club like this and it's a Friday night situation, a wedding, a funeral, or whatever the fuck it is, and you're
Yep.
told to be there, you fucking show up. You show up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was there was no really telling anybody what I was doing. It was just wham bam the way the shit was happening, you know? And then I got another job because the president of the charter says, well, I know this guy named Marv. He runs a strip club. He'll give you a job. And he's cool. He'll let you go when you need to go. And I'm thinking, all right, that's what I need, man. So I went down there and I was bouncing down there. It was called the Skyway Show Lounge. It was right on Hennepin Avenue.
I know it, bro.
You know where it is, right, bro?
Yeah, I know it. I've been there. I mean, I know it. I mean, I saw a documentary. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying, bro?
Well, and you know, the weird part is one time this black dude comes in the door, and I don't know if he was homeless, but he was like really shabby, shit down, and he's like, hey, you got any money you can give me and stuff? I said, get out of here, man. You can't come in here, you know? Well, I'm gonna go in there and get a water. I said, no, you ain't. You know, you got to get out of here. Get out. I opened the door and he didn't want to go, and he starts fighting with me in the doorway. So I grab him and I run, and you know Hennepin Avenue, how busy it was, and I just threw him because the sidewalk was so long. I figured he'd just fly about 5 feet and land. Boy, this son of a bitch flew like 20, and he flew out in the road and fell down in the middle of the road, and you know I was like, whoa! You know, I thought he was going to get run over. You know, it would have been my fault.
Hey, I'll tell you a little insider. So my wife, we've been together 25 years. I was a DJ at the King of Diamonds, and she was dancing there. That's where we met. So I'm sure you've been in the KOD a couple times.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome, man.
No big deal. You know what I'm saying?
No big deal. So I got to tell you this, man. So I never met. Personally, I can't stand them, right? But this was the first time somebody called me up, and there's no cell phones back in 1994.
Right.
But somebody called down the bar and they asked for me, and I get on there and they go, hey, man, just be ready. We're coming down there. A bunch of us are going to come down there. And I said, okay. They said, Chuck Zito's in town. He's bodyguarding somebody, and he's going to come down, and you're going to meet him. And I said, all right. So keep an eye out for him. And I'll never forget it, man. I looked out the door a couple times, and now I look out and I see him coming. And, you know, I mean, this guy is like straight out of the 70s, like some psychedelic fucking phase he was going through. But he's walking down the road. He's got this jacket with this 10-inch long fringe hanging on it. The sleeves got leather flames going up it. Then he's got these bell-bottom pants on with leather silver flames coming up the pants. No, it kind of looked like some, I don't know,
Kind of
some
sound
costume.
like he was going to the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what he was doing, bro. But I'm going to tell you what I did. I looked down the road, seen him coming. I was like, what the fuck is that? And as he's walking, the cops stop, and they put him against the wall, and they're patting him down, they're jacking him up. Then they let him go, and he walks in. And honest to God, he's so in love with himself. I told somebody, man, I'm surprised he hasn't had his ribs removed so he could blow himself.
Ooh.
He walks in the door, and I said to him, hey, how you doing, Chuck? I'm PeeWee. I'm a Hell's Angel prospect, Minneapolis. And I stick my hand out. He don't shake my hand. He doesn't even look at me, bro. He looks in the mirror, and he goes, them fucking cops, they fucked up my hair. You know, he had that real strong New York accent. What? I just stood there thinking, what a lame this guy is, you know? Yeah, then he walked in, thought all the chicks were going to be falling over him. Oh, bro, you'd have to see it to believe it. The guy's so much about himself. The only thing now, I see him now, he's 70 years old, 71. His hair's jet black. So, I mean, the shoe polish company, they're happy, you know, because he keeps buying that black shoe polish and put it in there.
Are you talking about the owner of the lamplighter?
No, Chuck Zito. He was a member.
Got you. I got you.
Yeah, he was a member out of New York. He was New York, then they started New Rochelle.
When you said
You
shoe
rock-
polish and hair, the first person I thought of was the Mr. Mafia wannabe, Mr. Lamplighter guy. You know what I mean?
Oh, this guy's the same. You know what I mean? Black, jet black, shoe polished hair. And, yeah, I mean, everything he says is pretty much he's full of shit, but,
So was it because
you
you
know,
were a prospect, or I mean, is that what it was? Because if you were a full-fledged member, he couldn't have disrespected you like that, right? Or could he have?
oh, I wouldn't let him. I wouldn't let him. Even as a prospect, I thought, this guy's a joke. You know what I mean? But it was pretty cool. The only thing that was cool about it was he said he had to leave town and he needed somebody to finish the bodyguarding job with the client he had. So he let me do it. And he says, hey, you want to do it? And I said, yeah, I'll do it. And it was with Matt Dillon.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, you know, nobody's seen him for years.
Outsiders.
Outsiders. Yeah, the
man.
Outsiders.
Ooh.
Deli.
Love that show, man.
And yeah, he was cool as cool can be, you know. And we hung out, and you know, he's a good looking dude, man. So the chicks were like flocking to him.
Absolutely.
And he's young.
I'm on
So,
it.
you know, when he first showed up, I met him. We went out for a steak, and then we had the steak, and then we come back. And he goes, oh, I want to get a newspaper. So we walked down in the corner. Remember that, what was it, Schindler's? Or remember it was that magazine place right on the corner from the Skyway Show Lounge?
I do.
And it was all magazine, books, papers from all over the world.
It's
I can't think of the name of
driving
it.
me crazy. I can't
Right.
remember the name, but
I know. But I took him in there and he bought a Wall Street Journal, right? Mm-hmm. And he had this long black cashmere jacket on. I had my rocker on and I had like a winter coat. It was cold outside. It was probably like 10 degrees, something like that. So while we're standing in the bookstore, this is how nonchalant this was. We're standing in the bookstore, and I look out the door, and this dude's walking down the street, just walking down by himself. And he looks at me, he goes, hey, Matt. Matt goes, hey, Karina, what's up? It was, what's his name? Karina, how do you say his name? Karina Reeves? The guy who played in Speed?
Keanu Reeves.
Kiana.
Dude,
I never say his name right. Keanu Reeves was walking down the street, man. He must have been shooting a movie, too. He wasn't in the same movie as Matt. Matt was doing that movie called Beautiful Girls, where he drove a snowplow and shit. Yeah, that was all done in Minnesota. So, yeah, old Reeves just walks by, they shake hands. I go, wow. I was like freaked out that I saw him, too. But here's the funny part, bro. We walk out. We walk into the Skyway Show Lounge. Mm-hmm. As we walk in the door, this chick's walking out. She's a dancer. She's walking out with her boyfriend. They're holding hands. She sees Matt, and she goes, oh, my God, you are gorgeous. Now, she's holding on to her boyfriend's hand. You know, I mean, how embarrassing. I mean, I know you would take that. I'd be like, what? And she says, man, I love your movies. I love you. You're so handsome. Oh, my God, if I was your girl, oh, I'd do anything you want me to. Oh, yeah, she was saying all that shit. Ooh. And I was kind of looking at Matt, at his face, and he was like real nonchalant, looking around. And he goes, well, hey, thanks, you know.
I would ask for a little bit more in-depth details on that, you know, and if it's consensual or not. You know what I'm saying, man?
Right. So the boyfriend jerks her hand like, come on, bitch.
Oh.
And they go out the door because he's all mad because she's literally flirting with him.
What does he expect?
And I'll never forget this, brother. Never forget this. As soon as they go out the door, I look over at Matt and I says, you probably get that all the time. And he goes, yeah. I pump up the tires, but he gets to ride the bike. Oh. And I said, wow, that's cool. I'm never going to forget that saying. And I never have.
Okay. So he's pumping up the tires for all the dudes out there. Huh? Was he married?
Yeah. No, he wasn't married. No. Oh. And then, you know, he was drinking orange juice. You know, he wasn't much of a drinker or anything like that.
I don't know.
And then we went to Deja Vu. Oh. Remember what that was?
Bro, oh my God.
Right. So we went there, and he went in the back and sat down, and I kind of stood by the railing where you had to get through me to get to him.
Just out of curiosity, so when you were doing security, you had your rocker on, right?
Yeah.
And were you
Yeah.
solo? Were you by yourself? You're the only
Yeah.
catch? So what did that?
Yeah.
Did you run into any
I was
issues?
all by myself.
Did you run into any issues with that?
No, you know what's crazy about it is the girls knew who he was at Deja Vu,
Yep.
but they didn't come flocking. A couple of them tried to come over and hi and introduce themselves, and he wasn't really even looking for that. You know, he was just basically, whatever. You know, and then all of a sudden these guys all start lining up with napkins and pens. Can we get an autograph? Can we get an autograph?
What?
And I looked at Matt and he says, yeah, I'll do a couple, you know, and he signed like 3 or 4. And then he looked at me and goes, hey, PeeWee, no more, you know. So this guy comes up and he had a mullet. I'll never forget this. He had a mullet and shit. And he comes walking up to me and he says, hey, can I get an autograph? And I said, no, he's not doing any more autographs. And he said, oh, okay. And he says, hey, man, what do I got to do to prospect? I want to be a prospect. I want to be a Hell's Angel, you know? And it was funny. I looked at him and I said, well, you got a job? And he goes, yeah, I work for the city of Minneapolis. I said, oh, really? And he goes, yeah, I got a good job. I said, all right, well, you're going to lose that. You'll lose that job. And he goes, why? I said, just trust me, you'll lose it. And then I said, you got a wife, kids? And he goes, yeah. And I said, get rid of them because you ain't never going to see them. And you could see the guy's face was all bummed and walked away. And I kind of, you know, it was just what I was feeling at that time because I already saw that writing on the wall, you know, bro. It was.
Were you lying? You weren't lying, dude.
No, I wasn't lying.
You weren't
I
fucking
wasn't
lying.
lying.
So what would he rather have you do? Lie to him and just fucking say, you know what, dude? You are walking into a miserable fucking booby trap right now. If you love your life now, you know what I'm saying? So do you not say anything? It's just like, yeah, truth hurts, but you know, him walking away pouty probably saved him a lot of fucking heartache, bro.
Right, and you know the hard part, bro, is my wife went to work at this machine shop because she was good at it, you know, and she was a machinist, so she was making good money. Then she got my daughter, who just graduated from high school. She got her a job there, and them two actually were paying our household because I was out running around and fucking around doing this bullshit with the club. I never had time. Every job I got, I lost 4 jobs.
Yep.
And every time we get a job, we went somewhere.
Yep.
And then I got a concrete pouring job, and I think I was there 2 days, and then we were leaving for a USA World Run in San Francisco.
Oh, shit. Yep.
And oh, bro, we were jamming in a big pack. As we were going along, we kept running into other little packs, and it got bigger and bigger. Shit, there was like 40 of us.
Dude, I love that shit.
And we're jamming along, and we were in Wyoming. And I had an FXR, and it was spokes. You know, I had spokes on it, not the mags.
Yep.
And these guys, they fly in front of this semi. They cut right in front of the semi, and then they cut off the ramp.
Shit.
And nobody signaled that we were getting off or anything like that. So the semi already went past, and as they were in front, they just got past. The semi blew the horn because he almost hit them. So when that happened, we were right behind the semi. By the time we could see him going up the ramp, me and another guy, we had to slow down, and we had to go through the grass, up the hill, you know, to get to where they were.
Yep.
So going through the grass, it was like, like we're on dirt bikes.
Yep.
Little did I know, brother, that I broke 17 spokes on the rear tire.
Going through the grass.
Huh?
Going through the grass?
Yeah, going through the grass, and I didn't know it. So the next day, when we all get up, we're all getting ready to go. We went to this place, had breakfast. We're all jumping the bikes, we're going on the road. You know, I could feel the bike doing this wobble. You know, like you got a bad bearing, a rear bearing in the wheel. And I had a couple guys pull up on me and say, "Hey, PeeWee, your tire's all over the place in the back."
Oh shit!
And I'm like, "What the hell?" So this guy Greg, he was a member, and he was from Nebraska, Omaha. He pulls up next to me and he says, "You want to pull over, PeeWee, and look at it?" He was really a cool dude, man. I miss him a lot. He's still alive, but I mean, you know, we just don't talk. But He says, "You want me to pull over with you and see what's wrong?" And I said, "Yeah, please, you know." So we pull off the side of the road, and way back, just out of coincidence, this is how gay some of this shit is. The guys are riding their road bikes, you know, their baggers, whatever, all heaped up, but they got their chopper or hot rods on a bike trailer. It hauls 4 bikes, but there's only 2 bikes on it. And it's got Pat's chopper and it's our guy Ralph's chopper on it. Because they weren't going to ride them damn things, you know,
Right.
all the way out there.
Yep.
So we knew that the truck was way behind us because of the way we ride. So we pull over there and we're looking at it. Oh, Greg goes, "Check it out." He grabs a spoke. I see him. I said, "Man, all these spokes are broke." He said, "You can't ride, bro. You're going to have to get in the truck." So when the truck pulled up, we loaded it up. We jumped inside. And I remember it was funny. We pulled into this gas station. And, I mean, this is like what you call eat and go, you know, like these gas stations around here, come and go.
Yeah.
You pull in it, we go inside, we buy a loaf of bread, a pack of bologna, pack of cheese, and a bottle of yellow mustard. We put it on our screen, we're going down the road, we're eating our own sandwiches, you know, drinking the sodas.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and we're way behind the packs, we're listening to music, we're enjoying the air conditioning and shit, it's hot out. And then we caught up, and I forget what town we stopped in. And Pat, the president of Minnesota, says, "Hey, you need to go get some fucking wheels on your bike." Now, this is what I'm talking about. You know, I didn't have a ton of cash on me because I wasn't really working most of the time.
Yep.
So I went in there. This guy had a set of mags, and this it wasn't a Harley dealership. It was like an aftermarket place, and he had a pair of mags in there. And I think he sold them me for $200. And he put them on. He put my tires on it. And shit, I would never, ever ride with spokes again, you know?
That's scary shit, man. In fact, he did.
It was
Oh, I
scary.
mean, fuck.
Those mags rode so much better, you know? And we rode all the way out to San Francisco. And the last day that we were riding, we went through the salt flats and the heat and all that shit. And by the time we got, I think we did about 800 miles that day.
Shit.
And it was like, we left at 6 in the morning, and it was right around 9, almost 10 o'clock at night. We were rolling into San Francisco. And you know, me, being from the Midwest, I'm thinking, oh, California, man. And we were going through Sacramento and all the salt flats. Bro, we were roasting. I mean,
Right.
it was cooking us.
Yep.
Then we get to San Francisco. It's all like foggy, cold, wet, damp, you know, and I'm not bullshitting you. I'm standing there and I'm like, I just had a hoodie on like I got now, and I'm like, "Ooh, fuck," you know. And they says, "Hey, we're going to go get some rooms so everybody can crash. We had a long day and shit." And one of the guys at Frisco says, "Hey, we really don't have any prospects. Can you guys spare a couple here to watch the front, you know, the street so nobody can come down?" Because when you come down to Frisco, you got to come down Tennessee Street. You come down to the very end, it dead ends. It's like a turnaround. That's where the clubhouse is, right there in the turnaround.
Okay.
Now, it was funny because they had a asphalt sidewalk that went up between 2 metal poles. So, like, if a car came down that street, it didn't, like, accidentally go off that ledge and come down. But you could ride a bike up it and through the bar and take off that way. So, nobody could really come down that road, and nobody can come from the other way unless they get out of the car and run down. So, they said, yeah, PeeWee and Billy, this other guy, Billy, he's dead now. They said, "Hey, you guys take a watch." And they said, "How long you want them to do it? 4 or 8 hours?" I couldn't believe it. They said 8 hours. I was thinking, God damn, man. You know, and bro, the whole time, the whole time we were standing there, I was like shaking, you know, because I was tired. I was sunburned, and now I'm freezing, you know, because it was damp and cold out.
Oh my God, bro.
So by the time we got back, then we got to the rooms, and they let us lay down. I think we got like 4 hours of sleep, and then they had the phone ringing at the hotel. The motel. Get your ass down here, man. We need you down here. And because it was a world and a USA run together, everybody in the world meets there, and all the guys from the United States. So it was crazy. But it was interesting because it was my first like big giant rally with all these guys, and these guys, like I said, from all over the world.
Now, how long
And
have you
I
been,
met.
how long have you been with the club now? Before you went on to this rally, how long were you prospecting for?
Well, it was before I crashed the bike, so I think it was July. It was July, and because it's at the USA and the world, and the USA runs always at the end of July, and a lot of times because it's at the end of July, people go from that run right to Sturgis.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Sturgis starts like the full first week of August.
Yep.
And when we got out there, man, I met brothers from Australia, Santiago, Chile, everywhere, bro. I mean, you name it, they were there. And they had, believe this, they had the House of Pain. That was the band that was playing. Yeah, they're up there, jump around, get up, get down, jump around. And I'll never forget it because most of these other guys from Minnesota were like country boys, country western.
Yep.
And I was standing behind them because the guys they love to do those balloons, right? Those air tanks. So I had to roll those big bastards out. We pick them up, we put them in tubs of water because as they're drawing the nitrous out, the bottoms were freezing up. Oh, yeah. So you got to put them in like a warm water. And man, I made a big mistake, brother. When I grabbed an empty one, I had to grab them from the bottom. It was so cold, it gave me a frost burn on my hand, took all the skin off my hand.
Shit.
Wasn't thinking about it when I grabbed it, Bob. It taught me a lesson. That was
You
for
don't
sure.
do that shit twice. That's a fact. You don't do that shit
No.
twice.
But when I was grabbing the barrels, I got to tell you, the tanks, I could hear Pat say to one of the other Minnesota members, "This is bullshit, this music. There's only two types I listen to, and that's country and western." Bro, I was laughing so hard because you look around, all these Canadian Hells Angels are doing blues, they're jumping them down. Get up, get down, jump around. And I wanted to like have a good time with them and do it, but you can't.
Oh.
And I go around the corner to take the empty takes out. And there's another prospect back there who's still in the club to this day. His name is Guido. I think he's in, he was from Frisco, but now I think he's in Reno, Nevada. But it's funny, I come around the corner and he's hiding between the tanks. He's not a real big guy. And I go, "What are you doing?" And he's catching like the little bit left in there. Oh, hey man, keep it down, keep it down. He's doing his own little party, and I was like, crazy bastard. And that party went on for like 3 days.
Damn.
And like I said, I met so many people. But it was cool. It was really cool. And then we had to get on our bikes and ride back home all the way to Minnesota.
Dude, that's just hard. People don't get it. Some of these people, they'll go out and they'll go do like the Frost Your Nuts run or something. You know what I mean? They'll go do some little
right.
It's like fucking 30 miles max, and there's 55 fucking stops in between. So you're going like 2 miles a pop. People
Right.
are sore the next day from that shit. But
Right.
when we had the American Patriot Riders and we used to do those escorts and those funerals, brother, we used to ride in the fucking winter. I rode my bike straight.
Oh, no, I seen them. I seen them do it.
Yeah. I was driving winter, snowstorms, ice storms, fucking big flag on the back, fucking, I don't want to say it was stupid or not because we're burying somebody who's dead, we're watching a child bury their father, and it's just like, so it's kind of not that big of a deal what I'm doing compared to what they're doing,
Right.
The attitude I had on it. So, all right, so you got back to Minnesota, and then what was the next move for you?
Well, I was going to tell you what was funny about it. We were heading back, bro, and we were going through the salt flats, and it's hot as hell. And my bike starts like that, I'm like, no, what the hell? Bro, not one fucking guy turned to me and said, like Greg did, because everybody went their own ways after that, and we left. When we left, It was just mostly the Minnesota guys. And my bike was like, it was stalling. It was going, stalling, going. So I pull up to the side of the road. They just kept going. They don't stop. They don't, none of that shit like we used to do in the centers. We all pull over and, people help you. And so I pull over and I thought, well, man, I hope it's something easy. I was a fair bike mechanic, but, I couldn't rip a motor apart,
Right.
or put a whole bike together if I had to. But I could tear them apart easy.
Oh, yeah, easy.
So I pull up the side of the road and I'm looking everywhere trying to figure out why it ain't doing it. I look and I see the little tiny wire off the top of the coil. And I said, there it is. And I had a Leatherman. So I wrapped it around and thank God the nut, the nut was still on there. It had two nuts actually. It was double nutted and the wire, the little eyelet that was in between it, that flew off. So all I had was raw wire. And I wrapped it around that thing, and I put that nut back on, screwed it on. Boom! Bike fired right up. I took off.
Yeah,
Now once again,
some of those
I'm doing the 120 to catch them.
God dang, bro. So you already did 800 miles one way to get there. Your bike's ass kicked on the way there. You're going back now, and here's your coil wires all fucked up. You had to hurry up.
Yep.
So, I always thought, though, dude, and I always thought that there was like a code. No brother, if a brother goes down, somebody has to fucking stick with them, dude. I just thought that's what we did. Am I wrong here?
No, you're not wrong, man. That's the way it's done in most clubs. Even like with the Sinners, we'd have a breakdown truck, if something happened.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, these guys tell me we don't take breakdown trucks. The only reason that truck was way behind us with the bikes on it was because those guys wanted their choppers down to ride around the city and be cool on them. Otherwise, never did we take a truck. Never.
We always have.
So when I'm trying to catch them, I don't know why, but this bike, I must not check my oil or whatever the hell it was. The oil light comes on. I said to myself, you know what? I don't give a shit. It was that same bike, the one that I crashed. So I said, fuck it, man. I held it balls open. I was hoping it blew up. Because then I would have rode in the truck and said, to hell with it, And I caught up to them. I pull in the gas station, and they go, where the fuck do you go? I said, I broke down on the side of the road in the salt flats, and I had to catch you guys. And they said, well, you better gas up right away. We're leaving. Bro, I didn't even have time to run in and get a soda or anything. So I'm gassing up my bike. I said, I got to check my oil. Bro, I'm checking my oil, and they're already firing up their goddamn bikes. I pull the stick out. There ain't a drop on it.
Oh.
Not a drop of oil. So I went in and I got 3 quarts of oil. I poured it in the bike. They're already on the ramp going. Boom, boom, I buckle up, bam, catch him again, and I rode that son of a bitch all the way home. And the key part is what I forgot to tell you was when we were in San Francisco, I told you about that oil problem on my brake. We were going across the Golden Gate Bridge, and there was 120 of us going across the bridge. Naturally, I was in the back, right?
Yep.
And we're doing a good speed, and you're supposed to pay to go across the bridge. Man, we just blew right through it. And we blow right through it, and we're going. And I don't know what happened up ahead because there's so many bikes ahead of me. I can't see what's up there. But all of a sudden, I see everybody's brake lights. They're all like, stop it. I hit the brake, no brake again, bro. No brake. I go right up the middle. And I'm doing pretty good. And then all of a sudden, my foot peg hits the back of this guy's bike from Purdue.
Oh.
Man, his arms fly up in the air like he got shot by a shotgun,
Shit.
And he was a little guy, and it's sad. He died of cancer. His name is Burl. I love that dude to death. And he flew off the bike. When I crashed into him, he flew off the bike. You're not going to believe this. My foot, somehow came to the back. My foot went inside the mags, because remember I had to get mags on the way there. It went in the mag, and when the mag came around, my foot stopped on the swing arm.
What?
So the bike was hooked to me by my foot. My foot was jammed in the tire. And I fell on top of Burl, and we slid 17 feet on the guardrail.
Holy shit.
Looking down at the water.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Forgot to tell you that.
Bro, we were just
So-
fucking talking about that shit. We were going, there's a bridge here and going over the Tampa Bay. And it's fucking long. And I mentioned that. I'm like, those fucking walls are, it's only 3 feet, man. It's only 3
Right.
feet high. And you're going over that shit. You know what I'm saying, dude? We were fucking talking. I don't ever want that happening, ever in my life.
Well, as we went sliding by, all I could see was people's feet because the sidewalk is just above the ground, and they're walking, looking at the water, and we're flying by, and I tried to grab onto this bar that was sticking out, so to stop myself, so Burl could keep going. Man, bro, the momentum was going so fast. I grabbed it, boom, my arm flew right off.
Shit.
Then we came to a stop, and I sat back. I said, "Hey, man, are you all right?" And he had a big, like right here on his cheek, he had a big flap of skin hanging, where his face must have hit the ground. Then he had another one on his elbow right here. And you could tell he was dazed and confused, which, fuck, I'm 440 pounds. I'm on top of the guy. He probably weighed, bro, I'm going to say like 160,
Holy
maybe 170 pounds.
So he became a pancake.
Oh, yeah, he was a pancake, all right. And his bike was laying back there where we first initially hit, but my bike was still hanging onto my foot. I dragged it the whole way.
And folks, hey, the reason why you're seeing me react so freaking so if you've ever been on a bike, if you've ever dropped a bike, if you've ever been in an accident or anything like that, you actually feel the stories when they tell you the stories because I've been in a couple dumps and dude, I'm telling you, man, it's the scariest shit on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
On a bike.
It is.
Scariest shit.
It was. And I mean, I tell people, hey, man, I'm not boasting about this story like, hey, it was no big deal to me. It freaked me out, because it was probably, well, yeah, it was like the second crash that I had since when, I went over that car and cracked my kneecap. So I was like, oh, damn, I can't believe this shit. But, when you're in a big club like that, you're like, oh, boy, did I just make a big impression,
Right.
So I felt bad because Burl was hurt. And then we were sitting there, and as a joke, I says to him, thank God we had helmets on. And he just kind of looked at me, but he had a half beanie on, it wasn't a DOT one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So his face took it. I had a full face on. And I took my helmet off, and we're just like kind of sitting there. Well, when we first stopped, my throttle was wide open. My bike was like, wow! So because it was dragging on the ground, it fucked up the throttle cable. So I had to fix the throttle cable. The gas tank was caved in. The pipe was a little smashed. My controls, my mid controls were like pushed up a little bit. I had to beat them down with a hammer. And I stood the bike up, but I could barely walk because my foot in the mag.
Damn.
I stood up and I went, oh man, I think I broke my ankle. And I looked down, my ankle was huge, but I had like one of those, I had those boots on, like just above the ankle. And my ankle was actually like hanging over the boot.
Shit, dude.
So there was no way I was going to take the boot off. You know what I mean? Yep. It was holding my foot together. Yep. So
damn it. Oh.
we're standing there and all of a sudden you could hear sirens coming. Oof. And Burl says, hey bro, I don't have a driver's license. I got to go.
Fuck.
And I said, all right, man.
Yep.
So he jumps on his bike and he takes off. And then this guy named Big Jerry, he stayed with me. He was pretty cool. He stayed with me. He was a prospect from Minnesota with me. He's still a member now, I think, too. And he stayed with me. And it was funny. As soon as I got on the bike, we were ready to take off. The cops pull up and they go, hey, did somebody get in an accident around here? We're looking. Who's that? And we said, yeah, back there, there's somebody, because the people are all out in the street that, were watching this.
Yep.
So the cops went over there. We went around the cops. We did a U-turn to go back to the hotel because, man, there's no way, especially with my brake not working. All I had was my front brake.
God, that's fucking crazy, bro. So you had an oil.
When we got up to the gate, the lady says to us, oh, you're going to pay now, not like you guys did when you blasted through here. I was thinking, oh, as long as we ain't got to pay for everybody, You're like, yeah, we paid it. We went back to the motel, and naturally, when they got back there, I got my ass reamed. You know, what the fuck are you doing? And they looked at my ankle, and then I went into a hospital. They X-rayed. They said I had a bone fracture. They were going to put a cast on it, but they said my ankle was so swollen they couldn't do it. So they wrapped it up real tight. I put my boot on. I limped out of there. They said, come back in a couple of days, which we were already gone.
Yep.
And Pat just dig it up my ass. He says, well, yeah, don't think you're going to get out of riding. You're riding your bike back. And, bro, my ankle was so fucked up, I couldn't even push the brake, the brake lever down. So if I had a brake,
But you rode the bike back.
I rode the bike back with a fucked up ankle the whole way.
Dude.
Yeah, there was some crazy shit, and like that accident I told you, I broke all my ribs and my wrist.
Yep.
Here's where I come up with that name, Brotherhood, the greatest lie ever told.
Yep.
And you just said it. Hey, I thought brothers pull over, they help you. There's a lot of things that we think alike on. Mm-hmm. I think that way too, bro. Yeah, I'm going to pull over if something's wrong with your bike, or if I see you hurt somewhere, I'm going to pull over, right? When I got hit, I was laying in the road. I had a punctured lung from one of my broken ribs. So I was like, I was trying to catch my breath, Yep. And he pulls up in a truck with his kid, and I always hate it when he called me. He goes, "Hey, Bubba, you okay?" Now, he never got out of the truck, bro. He's talking to me out the window. "Hey, Bubba, you okay?" And I go, "No, I think a couple ribs broke, and I think my wrist is broke." And he goes, "Well, I hear the sirens coming, the ambulance is coming." He goes, "Call me tonight and let me know what happens, okay?" And I looked at him, I said, "Yeah, okay," and he drove off. That's the look I got too, bro. I was just like, what? I mean, come on. You and me just met, for the podcast thing and stuff. Bro, I'd stop for you in a minute and get out. "Hey, brother, you all right?"
I mean, dude,
I'd stay there with you until the ambulance got there.
I have pulled over for strangers on bikes, dude. I pulled over.
I have too. I have too.
Once it happens to you and you realize how much it fucking sucks, you're just like, the worst case scenario, dude, I can give you a ride down the fucking street to a gas station or a phone. I mean, don't.
Right.
It's just. That's my biggest thing, dude. And it's not just within the MC community. And I said this to you on the phone the other night. I says, the definition of brother to me is a lot different than a lot of other people's. And so when people call me brother, they better understand the fucking meaning behind it and the actions behind it, because it's a jungle most people can't fucking play in. You know what I'm saying? And the word respect.
I know exactly.
Yeah, that word respect and integrity are a big fucking deal to me, man. And if I expect people to be loyal to me, I have to show the same loyalty in return. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I always used to hate when they send you a message and always put on there love, respect, and honor. I'm like, I ain't got a fucking thing about honor, man. Because they leave you on the side of the road. Bro, there were so many, like, things I should have opened my eyes to and said, wow, this ain't for me.